What's up guys, Myles here. Hope you're having an awesome day. I'm here in Sydney at the moment, visiting family, catching up with friends for a few weeks. I'm a little bit behind with these videos, and the reason why is what I have to talk to you today about, and that's that Amazon FBA has kind of sucked for me and my business for the last month or so. There are quite a few key pieces that I'm focused on at the moment, based on things that happened last month, things that I now have to adapt to. And basically, I'm gonna talk to you about what happened, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because there's a lot to get through. And what I'm doing now in July this month, as well as in the last few months of this year, going forward so that I can meet the goals that I set for myself and for my business for 2018. So just to put that all into context, my goal for the end of this year is to hit $2 million total revenue across my accounts, and of that, about $400,000 in profit. That's a net margin of around about 20%, and that's after all salaries, all fees, after taxes, everything into my pocket. I'm about 20% behind on that, so it looks like at the moment I'll get around about $340,000, but I really want to catch that up and make that extra $60,000 in profit. My other goal where I'm really trailing behind is the hours that I'm working, because it's not just about money, it's also about the time and the freedom that we have. So my goal by the end of this year was to make this essentially a passive income, working 5 hours a week or less. I'm not there yet. I'm still working around about 20 on average. And those may seem like really big goals or really small goals, depending on where you're at. But I know that speaking with the guys that I mastermind with, as well as with all of the questions that you guys are asking me every day, I know a lot of these problems and challenges that I'm facing are the same challenges that multi-million-dollar sellers are facing, as well as people who are just starting are facing. But first of all, it's about 2 p.m. I've been working all morning on the main project, the one that I want to talk to you about. So I need to go outside, go for a workout, and then let's get into it. All right, so I'm here in Kyle Bay. It's about 3:40 in the afternoon. Absolutely beautiful Monday. I can't complain about the view. But what I can complain about are my sales for the last month. So I'm gonna put that up here, and let's take a look and talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm gonna start with the bad and the ugly. So you can see the sales, they start off all right, and then they kind of just tank for like the last 2 weeks. Why? So the number one reason is that one of my main listings got hijacked. Now this has never happened to me before. Honestly, in nearly 2 years of selling, this is the first time that's happened where I've actually had to close a listing. So it took about a week to fix this. So what happened? What does that mean? Basically, the listing images were actually changed from the 9 that I put up there, for my product, to 2 generic product images. They were low resolution and they weren't even the same product. So I actually had to close the listing while I was getting this fixed, because I didn't want anyone buying the product when they were seeing images that were from a different product. And even if I had left the product up, the conversion rate absolutely tanked, which I only noticed after a few days. And so that would have hurt the rankings a lot if I'd left it like this. Now this was pretty stressful for me, trying to get this fixed, because the way that you have to do it is you have to deal with seller support. So you have to ask them to change the listing images back. So when you actually go into the edit listing page, you'll see yours still show up, but the detail page, the actual listing that customers are seeing, shows these other images. So you have to go into seller support and request that you, as the manufacturer, the original seller and the only genuine seller, to change those images back. And what they will do is they will now ask you for proof. So the requirements have changed, and it used to be quite easy to get this back. But in this case, it wasn't so easy, and so I wasn't prepared. You basically need to show them the FNSKU label on your product and a photo of the actual product, or a UPC label, as well as having a manufacturer's website, which can be your website, the brand website, showing that product and the image as well, and also showing the UPC. Now in the past, they didn't properly enforce this, and so I didn't have this ready. And again, it took about a week of backwards and forwards, during which time the listing was shut down, so I wasn't generating any sales at all. Now, what do we learn from this? Basically, this can happen is the first thing, especially on competitive products. So again, this is my best-selling product, and it's quite typical that it will be your best-selling or the most competitive, most popular products that this happens to, as there are just more eyes on this and more people trying to hijack or sabotage your listings. The second thing is that brand registry doesn't really prevent this, and it's also a long-term solution, not a quick fix. So my trademarks have been in progress for more than 6 months, and you need those trademarks approved, completely approved, by the US Trademarks Office to get the brand registry set up as well. So that is not something that you can do to fix a hijacking. I think the most important lesson out of this, and this is also not a quick fix, is that you have to diversify your income. So Amazon is not a one-trick pony. If you have one product and something like this happens to it, there goes your income, at least until you can fix that problem. And that can be a killer for cash flow, because this is a very cash flow intensive business. So luckily, I predicted this would happen at some stage, and so for the last more than 6 months, 6 to 12 months, I've been working on expanding my product line, and at the moment I have more than 30 different products as variations but separate SKUs. And so this product used to be more than 50% of my income, and so if this had happened then, my cash flow would really have taken a hit for that week. However, at this stage, it's now down to about 15 to 20% of my total income. So while that product went down for a period of time and it definitely hurt, it didn't shut me down, and I still have the cash flow coming in. And this is a lesson that a lot of sellers have to learn the hard way when they have only one product, or they focused all of their efforts just on one SKU, and then that SKU, either something happens to it with new competition, or with a hijacking like this, or something else, maybe a supply issue. And when that happens, then it can all go to shit really quickly. So always remember that you need to be growing and diversifying that income as fast as you can. So the second thing that sucked is that summer sales in general have been a lot slower than I expected. So my product line consists of a lot of giftable items. They sell really well throughout Christmas and winter in general. And on the flip side, I also have items that do normally quite well in summer. And last year I actually had a few in particular that did really well over summer. And so I was expecting that to happen, to be repeated again this year, potentially even higher, because these products are now more well established, they have more reviews, they're kind of entrenched in that Amazon ecosystem. But this year, that just didn't pan out. So I noticed that there were definitely more competitors for one of my products. That product sort of stuck its head up above the rest last year, and towards the end of the year and then start of this year, a whole lot of new competitors launched in on that product. Now that product still makes me money, but a lot less than it did last year. And so I think I was quite optimistic in hoping that that product, again, recognizing that there were a lot more competitors jumping on, would still make this large amount of money during the summer, and so it didn't. And in general, actually, I noticed that the first few months of this year for me, for all of my products, were stronger than I was expecting, but then the last 2 months, so May and June, the summer months, have been a lot weaker than I was expecting. And I think it goes to show that even as a 7-figure seller who's been doing this for more than a year and who has products that have been selling for more than a year, seasonal products, the forecasting aspect can still stay unpredictable. Now, my products are quite seasonal relative to a lot of others, so if you're selling stuff that is more evergreen and sells year round, you may not have that issue. You may not be worried so much about things fluctuating either between seasons or from year to year. But the fact remains that I was expecting, based on historical data, to be able to sell more than what I have sold. So the lesson that I've learned here, and that hopefully you can learn too, is that at the end of the day, some things you just can't control, especially over the medium to long term. And this goes back to the first point, where those really popular products will stick out and they will be seen, and unless you have some sort of hard barrier, some sort of unique differentiating factor that really stops other people from jumping on with the same product or a similar product and taking some of your sales, this stuff can happen. And so what you and I need to be doing as entrepreneurs in this Amazon game is ideally building products and creating unique products that have that differentiating value that just can't be copied. And if we can't do that, we need to think intelligently and be smarter and faster than the competition and just keep moving ahead. And that leads me to my third point. The third thing that sucked over the last few months for me is that I haven't been launching enough new products. So if we break it down, in your Amazon business, if you want to grow, there are 3 ways to do this. You can launch new products, you can rank your existing products higher within your current marketplace, or you can expand your existing products into new marketplaces. So ranking your existing products higher can sometimes be hard. You'll get it to a certain point where you're happy on page 1 for your main keywords, and then it's kind of hard to keep it going. And a lot of the time, people will move on, sellers will move on to new products. The third option is something that I have been doing, which is expanding all of my existing products into the European marketplaces, the ones that are already selling in the US, selling them in the UK, in Germany, in France, Italy, and Spain as well. And that's working for me now, but it has taken more than a year to really get that going. So it's the first way, which is to just launch new products. That's the way that most people are growing their Amazon businesses. Now, I'm doing that too, but honestly, my launch cycle for a lot of my new products has been really dragged out over the last 6 months by I don't want to say getting distracted, because it's been part of the plan, but what I've been focused on is building a team to start doing this work for me. As I said before, I have a financial goal, I also have a time goal, so I do want to make this a passive machine, and there's no way of doing that. Unfortunately, what other gurus would tell you is not true. There is no way of doing that without having somebody doing that work for you. If you just launch a product and then, retire, that product will sell well for a while and then something will happen to it. Some of those risks, some of those bad things that I just mentioned probably will happen to that product. And so after a certain time, if you're not putting that work in, it will start to go down, and it will stay down as well unless you do more work, launch more products, expand the products, or rank them higher. So I've been looking at my entire business towards the end of 2018 into 2019 as becoming this self-sustaining machine, basically being more profitable, more sustainable, and more enjoyable as well. I've launched one big line of products this year that went really successfully, and I should do a video on it because it was a textbook launch without a giveaway, profitable from day one, starting at a low price, close to break even, running PPC on the right keywords and bidding aggressively with the right product and the right listing images and the right copy. And that got to the number 2 position on the main keyword, the primary keyword, within a couple of days. And it stayed there until it sold out. And I did raise the price a lot, so I made a lot of money off that product launch. But at the moment, it's out of stock. And so it's taken a while to get that back into stock so that I can start growing that revenue again. And other than that one main product launch, there isn't that much in my pipeline at the moment in terms of new products and growing that revenue. So what that means is that while in the long term, I'm doing what I need to be doing to make my business sustainable, profitable, and enjoyable, in the short term, that growth has been constrained as I've been focused on building that team. Now, product launches can take quite a while. If you're air shipping and you can get things rolling really quickly, 2 months is a good estimate. But a lot of the time, life happens, and I do sea shipping as well, and so my launch cycle is more like 4 months from start to finish. And so what that means is that if times are tough right now, and I don't have all of these products being launched, there isn't that much I can do to sort of help myself in the short term. What I'm looking at is 4 or 6 months ahead in the future. So now let's talk about the good, the silver lining, and this is what I'll be focusing on for the rest of July, the rest of 2018, and even going into 2019. And that's building a real sustainable brand presence and an off-Amazon audience. First of all, I want to say that you can launch purely on Amazon, do the bare minimum, and you can still do pretty well, even today. That's what I did, and that's how I've grown to $100,000 a month. So I've never made a Facebook ad or an Instagram ad or built an email list or even used a giveaway service in the last year or so, and yet most of the products that I've launched during this time have been profitable, paying me cash from day one. So yes, you can still get really far, even today, by just doing the bare minimum, staying on Amazon, only using PPC to drive traffic to your listing. If you've done the right product research, you have a great, unique product, if the price is right, your listing is on point, if you've done all of that, you can still get really far without anything else. However, times are changing. Our competitors are getting smarter every day, and as I said before, in order to keep up and stay ahead of them, we need to get smarter ourselves. Now, the big issue, as I see it, is that Amazon ultimately owns our customers. They're not ours, they're Amazon's. We pay a lot to get them, either through PPC or giveaways in most cases, but at the end of the day, we can't communicate with them openly. And what that means is that while we don't own them, we still have to keep paying those acquisition costs, keep doing those giveaways, keep using that PPC, and paying that money to get the customers who aren't ours in the end anyway. So starting from a few days ago, a bit delayed because I was leaving Colombia, coming out to Australia, traveling around a bit, but very recently, I've decided to change that and get smarter myself. So my goal now is to build rapport, trust, and respect with an off-Amazon audience that I can identify with. I want to get their loyalty, but more importantly, I want their email address and I want their attention. Once I have their attention, their loyalty, and a way that I can contact them openly, what I'll be doing is using that audience to drive high-performing, converting traffic to my Amazon listings, making more sales, increase my rankings, and making more money. So that sounds great. How do we do it? I see 4 ways of doing this, and I'm starting with all of them immediately. I will be posting videos about this, by the way. The first way is to capture your Amazon customers and turn them into your customers. So the main ways we can do that are using product inserts. So every product that you send to a customer, you convert them using generally a warranty is a good way to do it, or some other incentive to get them to go onto a website, your website, and then type in their email address. I'll be offering a warranty to do this. You could also use some sort of buyer's club or VIP club. The main thing that Amazon doesn't want you doing is driving traffic to go and buy stuff off your website. So I'll be sending customers to Amazon again. So the second way you can do this is take your existing Amazon customer data from existing orders that you've made, take that data and plug it into Facebook ads to create a lookalike audience. So they won't be the same customers, but they will have the same characteristics and the same interests as that audience. And then you can target them off Amazon using ads. Oh, it's a bit cold. So the second thing that you can do is grow your Instagram brand account. So that'll drive organic traffic to your Amazon listings. That takes time. So if you want more immediate results through a social media platform like Instagram, you can do influencer marketing. So that's getting people who already have accounts on Instagram, who have an audience that relates to your products, the target niche, and either paying them or, depending on the size of the influencer, just maybe giving them free product, getting them to post about your product and expose it to a much bigger audience that way. And then the last technique is using paid ads. So this is quick, costs a bit of money, but at the moment the returns can be massive. So that could be Facebook ads, it could be YouTube, Pinterest, Instagram. And again, the purpose here is normally to get the email addresses of those customers who fit your audience, fit your customer persona, and get them moving onto your Amazon listing, get that converting traffic going, increase those sales, which then boosts up your rankings, and then you'll be able to pull more of Amazon's traffic as well. So that's pretty much been my last month, why it sucked, the good, bad, and the ugly, and what I'm doing about it going forwards. I think overall, like anything, there's always a lot to be learned, and it's what we learn that's the important thing. So I hope you found this helpful. I wanted to give you a bit of a transparent look into what I'm doing. And if you enjoyed this, guys, please do subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you in the next video. It's coming right up.